Bear with me just a moment. I'm getting my phone set up so I can.
Hey, do you want me to make you the host, Robert?
You don't need to. I'm working on getting my phone set up so I can share the radio screen again. Uh,
Okay, thanks, Robert.
yeah. You guys can see that.
There's a little bit of glare on the screen. All right. Yeah, it's good. Thanks.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So today we're going to be talking about the analog side of this radio. For those of you that have not seen the network side or the push to talk side for the cellular, which is the top half of the screen, we recorded the first session with that so that you can walk through it. Does anybody have any questions before we get started on the analog regarding the push to talk side? We'll get those out of the way really quick and then jump in because the analog's pretty cut and dry. Anybody have any questions? Andy, I can't see the chat because I'm using my phone, so don't mind. Say again.
Is Dan and Mary on here? Both. It's in the chat. Oh.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no questions on the POC side, we're just going to jump right into the analog side. So the analog side uses this push to talk button right beneath the highlighted one. When you key up that, you'll see it key up on the bottom of the screen. You'll see that red bar go across.
Your
If you
screen's
don't know what that means, that
there.
okay.
Thank you. Your screen's
you-
showing.
Not in focus. Can you see it now?
It's kind of small.
Yeah, it's really small.
It's also blurry.
I don't know if you can make the picture bigger.
Andy, can you expand the output?
There we go. Yeah, it's a little bit out of focus.
Okay.
My
Is that
my computer this morning, it says that its bandwidth is very low on my computer. So that could be part of it.
That's if you have your camera on, you may try turning your camera off. That'll help with your bandwidth.
Yeah, I got Mark on Beaver County or Brevard.
That's okay. As a result of the last session, I ended up with my analog being turned off, so I don't have any analog right now.
Okay, we'll go through how to turn that on and off. That's if you go to your menu mode, very first option, for you with
Okay,
the web
menu.
analog. Yep,
I
and then
see
you have
analog.
both.
Okay.
If you make it turn both the analog side on.
I think I got it. Let's see. Okay. Yep, I got analog now. Thank you.
We have no audio.
Hey, Marlene.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Robert.
I have a question. So does the manufacturer of these phones have a what do you want to call it? A diagram of how the screen and the keys and everything is that you could be showing, because it's really, really hard to see anything on here. All I see is 47425050 and a bunch of things moving across the screen because the light is in the screen.
Hang on just a moment.
So I was just wondering if you had a diagram that you could show side by side so we kind of understood.
Do you have access to the current manual?
No, I don't have a phone or whatever this thing's called. I don't
Well, it's
have one.
so is this the first call you were on?
No, this is my second.
Okay, so I put a link to, or I uploaded the document, the user manual. It's on the Peace Bridge Network website as well.
Okay, that's good to know.
It has the diagram which shows you what all the keys are.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, concerning the display and what those options are, that's going to be determined based upon the setting for that channel. And we're going to go through that here in a minute. So,
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I yield.
okay. Is that a clearer representation?
Yeah, that's better. Hmm.
Okay. So on this screen here, you have a little N. That means it's narrowband selected. You'll have a W next to that spot if it's a wideband for this particular channel. This has to do, CT has to do with the CT. CSS, which is your squelch type. The minus sign means your offset is negative from your center, your carrier frequency. Save just means that you can save this to an existing channel or overwrite an existing channel. But so in your radio, you have two buttons that deal with analog. Can everybody see the little red arrow that's pointing to the right on the side right here, right above VFO? If you have a radio, you may not have it in VFO mode. The way that you move that arrow is the A and B button. It'll move from the top half to the lower half of the screen, and then the pound sign is how you would take it from VFO to your preset channels. VFO allows you to program a frequency into the radio and set a non-program channel, or you can actually edit a channel and save it to that channel. And we'll go through that here in a minute. But so within the manual, if everybody has a copy, great. If not, it's on the PC Bridge Network. And Andy, if you have it readily available, if you could put it in the chat. I'm going to go through the manual and the radio at the same time. So within the radio, channel settings is one of the things that has to do with the analog side of the radio. Bear with me, Tim. I don't have professional videography equipment. So if you have a radio, I would encourage you to use your radio and follow along. I'm going to try to not talk too fast. I know that was something that some folks had a hard time following along when we went through the POC side of the radio. So the green button is your menu button. The red button is your escape or back button. So channel settings is your first option in the menu that has to deal with the analog side of this radio, which is your lower half of the screen. You enter the channel settings, you have a bunch of different options to choose from. Bandwidth. This is where the analog bandwidth is either going to be set to wide or narrow, and it's dictated by your repeater. So all these channel settings for any channel that you're going to set are free on your radio, whether it's a pre-programmed channel or you're going to set one up to program into your radio manually. Your repeater that you're going to talk to or somebody else handheld that you're going to talk to is going to determine what you're going to set it up as. As long as your handheld and the receiving parties match or the repeater matches, the radios will communicate. So under channel settings, you have bandwidth. There's only two options, narrow or wide. You have output power for that channel. You're going to have low and high. Low power is 5-watt transmit power. High power is going to be 10-watt transmit power. You have RX, CT, CSS, and TX. That's your squelch setting, also known as tones. So those can be set with several different ways. Again, these will be determinative or dictated by the repeaters that you're talking to or the other end user that you want to communicate with. So if you can think of it as a phone line without all these settings matching end to end, they won't communicate.
Robert,
offset.
pardon
Yep.
my intrusion. I can't, how do we change into the analog from POC?
You mean how to get into these settings?
Yeah, I'm still on POC. I can't figure out how to get into the analog.
Okay, so to manipulate the channel settings, I'm in VFO mode, which is basically let me see what they define it as on here, but it's manually programming it.
I got POC in the top screen. I need to get, don't I need to get analog up there?
Well, no, the top half of the screen is always going to be POC. The bottom half is always going to be analog. They don't switch. There's a little,
Okay.
you can see this little red triangle right above my finger. If I hit the star button, that triangle jumps to the top half of your screen. You see it moving?
Oh yeah, okay. Start
Okay.
button.
The star button moves that. So when you push the star button and it jumps down to where it's pointing to the analog, if you hit the pound
Okay.
sign,
All right. I apologize for the intrusion here.
yeah, so that'll take you once you're selecting the analog side of the radio, the pound side will take you from preset channels to a manual set where you can manually select it. So and I need to preface whichever you're selected to here, whether it's a preset channel, like now I'm on channel 11, 12, 13, or I'm in VFO mode. When I go to the menu option and go to channel settings, it's only dealing with what's on your screen. So let's say somebody has a radio that needs to talk and it's set on channel 2 and you want to edit channel 2, you need to make sure your screen is showing channel 2 before you go to channel settings, because you're going to manipulate those settings from the channel settings menu. So whatever's displayed on the analog screen is the settings that you're manipulating, not any other channel. So if that makes sense. So you have bandwidth, output power, RX and TX, CAT, CSS with continuous tone coded squelch system. Those typically have a tone anywhere from 67 to 254 hertz. And it's going to be a subtone that you can't hear with your ears, but that's kind of like the key that unlocks the frequency for you to be able to talk to that repeater, so long as all your other settings work. There's a couple other types of tones that they use. One is considered digital coded squelch. And then that's the ND. Let me get to that setting under channel settings. That's going to be under your RX and TX. So you have NDCS and IDCS. The NDCS is digital coded squelch. The IDCS is Tom's proprietary. That's a proprietary manufacturer specific proprietary coded squelch. And those are kind of a rudimentary padlock, if you will, of security that'll allow you to be able to communicate with somebody once it's set and then not allow them to listen in. But if they have the settings and they program a radio to those settings, they'll be able to hear. Offset between the repeater's input and output frequencies, typically expressed in kilohertz, sometimes it's megahertz, depending on the radio frequency. Your offset direction indicates whether the transmit frequency is plus or minus the receive frequency. That'll be notated by that little minus. Above the 7 here, you'll see the little minus sign. So this has got a negative offset on it currently. Again, all these settings are determined based upon the All right. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know how my phone got muted.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was muting somebody else. Sorry. And I hit you by accident. Sorry.
You're fine. Okay. So did y'all hear what the offset frequency is determining? And again, that's going to be found within the radio channel settings, your offset setting. Going to be a direction and then a frequency. Most of these will be, again, determined by whatever radio repeater and or base station you're trying to communicate to. The channel name can be custom defined. So under channel settings for this channel, you can change the channel name. I'm not currently in channel name because I'm not under a predefined channel. That's something that somebody asked about. If you're in VFO mode, channel name does not appear. You have to be under a preset channel to see the channel name appear. And then the channel name for dealing with the analog settings of the radio. The jumping frequency is used to enable frequency hopping on a channel, but it's not typically a standard use. That's going to be on a more high-tech security system, radio system that may not be employed or it could be employed. It's not a common practice. And then the study code setting under the channel settings is the radio's ability to listen and learn to what repeaters are talking around it and adopt those settings. I would encourage people not to do that because you may jump on somebody's repeater that they don't want. But the channel setting, that's the big bulk of the channel settings, and that's specific to whatever channel is selected on the screen here. So if you're on channel 2 and you go to channel settings, you're only changing channel 2. So if you have a bunch of settings you need to manipulate for every channel, you got to go channel 2, make those channel settings appropriately match the repeater or the end user you're trying to communicate with. Go to the next channel, do the same, and then you just repeat for each channel that you want to make edits to. Then you have analog settings as an option underneath the radio menu. So here, this has to do with your squelch level. If your radio is static, you're squawking all the time, just your squelch level. It also sets the sensitivity that breaks the silence or the static. So then you have a TOT setting underneath analog settings. That's the timeout timer. So if the radio gets keyed up inadvertently, it gets dropped between its seat, it's pushing the button to transmit. It's going to time out the timer so it doesn't burn up your radio transmitter or take over the airwaves and keep something keyed up and not allow anybody else to talk. Or cause interference. You have power save as well under analog settings. There's several different options under power save. You have off, level 1, level 2, level 3, and I believe level 4. Yeah. So the way this functions is when the 0 selected radio is in standby mode and does not conserve power. Level 1, radio will go dormant for a second and then be awake and listening for a second. If level 2 is selected, the radio is dormant for 2 seconds and in standby mode or listening for a second. If it's in level 3, it's dormant for 3 seconds. So every 3 seconds it's asleep, 4 seconds it's awake and listening. When it's level 4 selected, same scenario, the radio is going to rest for 4 seconds and be listening for a second. So it's kind of putting the radio in an intermittent hibernate mode. Then you have underneath those analog settings, you have BL or BCLO, which is busy channel lockout. This is a feature that prevents a radio from transmitting on a frequency or channel if it detects that there's an active transmission or reception. So this is kind of the lock button, if you will, on the keypad that keeps you from pressing buttons and disturbing things. You can enable that, and that will ensure that you're not interrupting somebody else's transmission that's talking by keying up your mic. So that specifically works for push to talk. It also works for the analog. It's going to listen before it transmits, and if there's any detected reception, it's going to keep you from transmitting. That's the BCLO option. Then you have step size under the analog. Under the analog setting, you have the radio step size. So depending on frequencies in your area that are available to communicate with, those particular FCC licensed are going to tell you what their channel size is. It's going to be typically 25 or 12.5 kilohertz. Sometimes they're different. However, there are other options available for higher bandwidth. So again, every setting that you will ever set for analog will be determined by a repeater or the base station you're communicating with, or the receiving end of the radio. So it has to match end to end or it won't work. Then you have auto frequency detect. This is used for the radio to automatically identify frequencies or channels within a specified band. It's kind of like the study option, study code. The study code learns subtones of a repeater, and the auto frequency detect will listen and learn the frequencies that are available. So if you scan a frequency and find some frequencies in your area, I just went repeaterbook.com, I believe is the name of the website you can go to find local ham radios that are repeaters in the area. But you have to have an operator license to function on those. So I don't encourage anybody just to arbitrarily go and bounce off of them unless you're licensed to do so. All right, let's see here. Channel clone, receive, and transmit. So if somebody in your area has good radio settings, this is the simplest way to clone the radio settings for analog to make sure that you can talk to somebody on the analog side and not use the push to talk and take up airtime doing so. If you're going to use channel clone receive, or channel clone transmit, you first must set the radio up that's receiving the program channels, which I can go through that process just to give you a visual. So you're going to go to channel clone receive, the radio that you want to write the information into. It's going to be receiving. You're going to do channel, we're going to do 0001 to channel 16. And then you're going to hit OK, because that's how many channels that are programmed in the radios currently. It's sitting here and it's waiting for the reception for a transmitter to clone from. So once that radio is set to receive that clone, the radio that's writing the data would go to channel clone transmit. It would do the exact same channels or whatever channels you're trying to clone. It could be different channel numbers. They don't have to match. They can be arbitrary numbers. We could be writing channel 56 through 63 to 1 to 16. So if that's the case, it is the case, but typically you're going to match channel number to channel number. You transmit it, it happens in a moment of time. It's 1 or 2 seconds. It's written, it's done, it's over. Now you have two radios that the analog channels are identical. Then they'll be able to communicate on any of those channels. All right. Let's Okay, so that's the crux of the analog manipulating channels and the settings for the channels. The only other thing is, let's say I wanted to, and I don't know if this radio specifically has more than 16 channels. I don't believe it does, but we're gonna see if it does. So let's say I want to add a channel. I don't have programmed in my radio. The way you do that is you go into VFO mode, and we're just going to say we're going to do 4. I can type 452 and 0125 if I can type. That's not a 0. 01. Okay. 452 0125 0. That's an 8. 0. Lord help me. 452 0125. Pardon me, I'm watching through my screen. 0. Okay. This may be a valid channel, it may not be. This is just for demonstration purposes. If I want to write this frequency and then manipulate any of the channel settings, I can do that now or after I write the frequency. But let's see if it'll write to channel 17 for demonstration purposes. If I want to save this frequency to a channel, and it can be to any channel that you have if you need to overwrite one, you press and hold the asterisk button. It asks you which channel you want to save it to. So we're going to do 017, and we'll see. And then once you put the channel you want to write it to, you're going to press the asterisk again, and it successfully took that. So now if I exit VFO mode, I should have 452.0125 in channel 17. And there it is. So if I want to go and name this channel now, I can go into my channel settings and go to channel name, and we're going to say, so in the channel name, you have ABC capitalized. If I hit the asterisk button, sorry, wrong button. It's the, let me look and see which one it is before I misspeak. Yeah, it's the %. So when you hit the pound sign, you'll notice it goes from capital letters, lowercase letters, and then the numbers. So I'm just putting 17 for channel 17. Typically, you'll name your channels based upon either who owns the channel or whose repeater it is, where it's located. Sometimes it may be a city repeater, or
Do
it's
you
on the
know how
top
to
of the
select analog on this thing? Thank you. I was going to do that. Thank you for doing it.
Just
So now channel 17 shows up there. But so that's pretty much the full gamut of the analog settings, how to change from preset channels to being able to program the channels, being able to change the channel settings, being able to change the frequency. So if I needed to change specific channel frequency because it was programmed, somebody misprogrammed it, this is where you would do that. You would set the program that you want to change, and you would write that frequency. But just make sure that all of your channel settings for the VFO are matching to what you're writing to as well. Otherwise, you'll have to go back in and edit those. It doesn't just write the frequency, it writes the entire gamut. So it's narrow band, it's the offsets below, or it's a minus offset. It's using continuous tone, squelch, and it's we'd have to go in and see the other settings, what your offset frequency is, and all those fun settings. But most, I believe every one of those settings is spoken about and described in the manual. If you don't have the manual, again, it's on the Peace Bridge Network website. I think it's on the bottom of the order page. You can download it. We're doing some revisions on it thanks to Tim Cropper on Texas, he actually figured out how we could edit and add or change the frequencies of the existing channels without software. So that's a big help. Thank you, Tim. So,
Hey, Robert,
Yeah.
tried to access the doc share, but my Microsoft account is under a different email, so I wasn't able to post it in the
Okay.
chat. Sorry.
All right, that's fine. I'll log in on my laptop and get it in there before we get off. For everybody that's online. I do it from my phone, maybe. Let's see. There's chat. There's the chat. Bear with me a second. It's not playing well with me on my phone, so give me just a second.
Yeah, Lori has a question. It says mine is scrolling all states TAC 22. What does that mean?
Okay. Oh, got feedback. Okay. So that is the active POC push.
You're rubber banding, Robert. Sorry about that.
The audio is breaking up. Can't hear you.
Yeah, Robert may have to log out and log back in. I think
Yeah,
he's
give me a
got
second.
Okay.
All right, is that better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
much better.
right. The user guide to the chat. Will, all states talk around, or TAC is what talk around channel is what that stands for. That is the active network or push to talk. That's the one that's outlined in the green button, the transmit key on the side. That's the active network channel that your group or work group that you're in the book. It's called group/channel that you're in, and you'll see 18 in parentheses. That's how many online users are currently online in that group. If you were to go to your menu settings for that, you can change what group you're in. When you go to menu, you'll have menu 1 is work mode. The second one is group. If you select group, you will see how many groups you have to select. Some states have more than one. Some users only have the all states talk around. We're working on getting everybody into their appropriate groups based on which state you're on. To do program modifications, so that may take a little bit longer, but ultimately we'll get there. So, any other questions?
Robert, are we gonna have suggested settings that we all have for analog in case we need it and we end up all responding to a specific event, or would that be something that we message through dispatch?
Paul up. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can barely hear you, Robert.
Let's see, I don't know if my microphone is off. Is that better?
Yes.
Check, check. Okay. Can you repeat the first part of that question, Paul?
Yeah, are there a certain set of channels and frequencies in the analog side that we should be standardizing on so that we all have the ability to be near each other and have a chance of finding a way to communicate? Or would that be something that is only done case by case through dispatch?
Well, so the dispatch will currently be using the POC side from the APC side of things. The analog side route, you can't standardize across the board because every region and every there's tons and tons of repeaters out there in the voice analog settings, spaces in the spectrum. So to say that we could standardize a setting is not going to be possible because every region's different. You may have ham repeaters that are usable if you have a ham license that you can connect to those. You're more than welcome to do that. As far as connecting to existing de facto first responder networks, that's something that we're working towards in the future to be able to assist and or help in some areas and communicate on their networks, but those are licensed networks and we'll have to have previous authority to be able to do that. I apologize. So the short answer, Paul, on that is no, there won't be standardized analog settings because of the diversity of repeaters that are frequencies that are used across the areas. They're not all the same. Matter of fact, the FCC coordinators, they purposely mix up, transmitters that are within earshot, as we say in the radio space, but they're purposely offset so where they don't interfere with one another. So you can't traditionally just set, hey, we're going to run with this batch of settings because they're different everywhere. However, what I would say is if you were to look on the repeaterbook.com and you find a bunch of ham repeaters in that area, you can set channels that are offset from those so that it's not interfering with them. And once you have one radio set up how you would like it, you just clone it to the next set of radios of individuals in your area that you want to communicate with, and then that will ensure you're not stepping on anybody. However, there's always a risk of that's going to be where you can find ham repeaters. You're still going to have other licenses. I would encourage you to go to the FCC website and see who has transmitters in your area so that you're not programming frequencies that will interfere with them. But once you have two radios that have the same analog settings, they will communicate.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, this is Maziel in Orange County, Florida. Also, I work with Demolition in Florida. I had a question regarding, you did mention emergency response and other radios. Are we working at all with Aries, or do we use them for any type of support, or considering them in the future because they have a lot of emergency response? They already have networks in place that we can probably tap into. I yield.
With who?
It's called Aries. I think it's ARES. They have like all the radios and emergency response like connected to like radios and volunteers already qualified to help men and women of the land. So would we be tapping into that? Do you guys have any contracts with them, or do we need to seek that out ourselves? Are we using them as a support, like to utilize anything that they already have up or repeaters and so forth? I yield.
Okay, so to answer that in the shorthand, I know that I've got documentation on Aries as far as agreements in place. I don't know the answer right offhand on that. I'll have to get back to you on that. The APC is developing, so we're developing a platform for the Federation, Continental Marshals, the state assemblies and the county assemblies and the county reads for the purposes of peacekeeping. We're also going to be developing in tandem with that for kind of like a lot of the ASNs that have radios right now, some of which may not be peacekeepers and they may not desire to be. They have it for their families and just being able to communicate. So there's going to be kind of tandem systems that are built out, one specific for peacekeeping, another specific for those that want their family to have radios so that in case something happens, they can still communicate, and vice versa.
Thank you, because those were questions that you just mentioned right now regarding, maybe we have some that, we have one of the counties that started bringing up their own radio network, but it's not PKTF related. But we are going to be using the PKTF radios for the militia. So it's good to hear that you guys are already seeing what you can put together for those that are not on the PKTF radio too.
Okay.
Thank you.
This is Marlene with Washington, may I?
You may.
Thank you. I'm wondering, have you had any issues with these radios with people living close to airports? We have an international airport and a military airport all within a mile, and they use both for the international is mostly not to fly in, but it's a training center. So
Mhm.
I'm kind of, wondering if we're going to have any frequency clashing issues. I don't know. I mean, I can ask my local sheriff, if they have any issues or the fire department. Um, that might
So the-
answer some of
the-
the questions.
yeah, so depending on, you would know if you're having issues because an easy way to tell is if you go and just change a channel that's listening.
Yeah.
On the VHF side, if you start hearing chatter, then I would not transmit on that channel. I would edit that channel and get off of it. But again, these radios come just with arbitrary preset settings in them. They're not a standard setting. Ultimately, we're going to get to a place to where when people order um, radios, if they have a license or they have a repeater that they have permission to be connecting to be able to put those parameters or that information into the order form so that it can be set for that particular repeater straight from the order. So, but right now they're just predefined because we're mainly using the network side of the radios for all intents and purposes. The VHF or the UHF side capabilities are for future plans to work in conjunction with kind of what they would call mutual aid responses, to where we're responding to help in a natural disaster scenario or what have you, until the de factos and the de jure kind of, we're going to work tandem and parallel, and at some point they're going to either transition over and see the light, or we're going to take over their complexes and fulfill what role
Yeah.
the de jure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the ETA kind of? Does anyone have any ideas as when um when this plan is gonna kick off, and if uh how many people we have throughout the US trained on our system,
Right.
Americans.
Yeah. And so you're going to have a lot of people whenever that final straw breaks the camel's back, if you will. There's going to be people that are going to transition over because they see the light, and there's others that are not going to want to do so. Well, there's going to be people already trained that don't move over, and there's going to be people that don't want to move over. We'll have to either train some more individuals. We're working on doing that as well, as training people for dispatch and response. But PKTF has a big initiative to help with the liaisons between the local assemblies and those agencies. So that's the whole purpose, from my understanding of PKTF, is bridging that gap between the de facto and the de jure, to make sure, hey, we're here, we're organized, we're actually seated in a session, and we're coming to take the rightful seats that belong to the people back. So when that happens, as far as timeline, I don't know those timelines, because every state, it's state and assembly specific, even down to each county. So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
we just want to be prepared to be able to help support
Just
that
keep
transition.
arguing, you're gonna get yourself in trouble.
Right. The next question I have is there a separate class for people that have signed up to be a dispatcher in their state? Or is this the same class?
No, this is specifically pertaining to operating the radio, learning how to manipulate
Okay.
through the radio settings and get the radio to do what you need it to do.
Okay.
Our training for being a dispatcher or somebody that's helping with the APC, and whether it's on your state or it's at the higher postal level, postal area, regional level, or even at the county level. If it's within the state or the county, those individuals need to be vetted and put forth by their assemblies. And then once those people are nominated or put forth by the assemblies, we also have a vetting process as well, because we have ComSec stuff that's got to be protocol. The people have to be vetted,
Right, that
and
makes sense. Has that kicked off yet, or is that you're just doing the training for getting familiar with the radios?
yes, it's kicked off. We on the first training call we've those that shared interest, we've asked to email Andy Savola, who's the host of this call. You can email him your interest. We do have a list of individuals that we are tracking, those that have interest in being part of the dispatch or APC in general. And then, however, we've got to get letters of recommendation from the assemblies that you guys have been vetted and put forth by the assemblies.
Gotcha.
We're still working the state down to the county level. Right now, our main focus is getting continuity of comms established from the federation down to the state. Once that's established, then we're going to start populating those dispatch offices and training people to occupy those seats.
Okay. I'm only asking because I signed up, and so my information was sent to Andy. So
okay, yeah, then we have it. We're tracking all that information.
Okay. All right.
We're working on some contingency stuff that came up that were unforeseeable to us. So until recently, so we've got to mitigate that, and then that kind of took us a couple steps back in the roadmap, but that's all right. We'll get there.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, and I yield. That helped a lot.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
John Kayer.
Yes, Robert. In addition to that, I believe you guys said when you did have more information, you would be sending out letters to us. Is that correct? To help kind of initiate letters of recommendations from our assemblies, because we introduced some of this to them, and they had a bunch of questions that we obviously couldn't answer.
Okay. Yeah, if you will work on that, Andy and I, and I don't know if Kenny Fisher's on the call. We'll get together and make sure that goes out for sure. I would encourage you. I believe Arkansas created a committee for APC dispatchers. So the main thing is what we're requesting from the state assemblies is those that they're putting forth to be a state dispatcher, or anybody to work in the capacity of the APC for dispatch, that they are vetted by their assembly and they have a letter of recommendation from their assembly. If there's questions, by all means, they can reach out to myself, and I'll put my email in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I was one of the ones that was in the committee, but I just wanted to make sure that we go through the process correctly. And we would be doing our own letters of recommendation. There's nothing like per se that you guys would request or require in that letter.
Well, the letter of recommendation will be coming from whoever either your coordinator or your chairperson of the, unless y'all form the committee, then it would be whoever the committee chair is.
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Mark, you have something?
Just noticed something. I knew we were recording. I just saw that it was being transcribed also.
Oh, I have no idea.
It came across as a little band at the top, said being transcribed. I yield.
Are you asking me to send out the transcription? Because AI just will automatically transcribe what's going on in the call. And I could, if you want me to send it out, I could send it out. But lately what I've been doing is I send the recording to Kathy Kreidler with the Peacekeeping Task Force, and then I think they're posting that on their website.
Yeah, it's going to their YouTube channel under APC training.
Okay, YouTube. Thank you, Robert.
Yeah. She created a playlist for the APC training. So, but yeah, if there's any other questions, don't hesitate to ask. I put my email in the chat. You can always email myself. Bear with me. I have a lot on my plate, so it's it may not come back immediately, but if I'm in front of my laptop and I happen to see it come in, I might hit you instantaneously. So just depends on what I'm doing and where I'm at. But is there any other questions? Again, I want to give a big shout out to Tim for figuring out how to edit or manually program channels in here, because that was something that was not in any of the user manuals, and he didn't find them. He played with it long enough and figured it out. So Tim, to answer your question, I think I sent you an email. This radio does have an FCC ID from KOTOM. So that's an arbitrary crumb, something else. But anyway. Well, all right, guys. Well, if that's it, that's all I have. The analog side is much more simplistic as far as menu options. It's only a couple menu options to deal with the analog side. So, our main menu, I should say, there's more settings to manipulate for each channel. But I would encourage you, if you don't know how to do it, start playing with the analog side and looking at the channel settings so you can see and get familiar with how to make edits. However, if you've got somebody that's got a radio that's set up already, it's easy to clone. You set yours to receive, have them transmit all your channels that they have preset, and all of a sudden y'all can communicate. So on the analog side, the analog is really good to use in a CB type scenario or walkie-talkie, old school like Cobra walkie-talkies, like if you're driving down the road or something in a convoy. 450 frequency is not going to have a whole lot of range. You might get a mile out of it if it's line of sight. If you've got a VHF version of a radio that has been put out there previously, it'll get a little more distance, line of sight, a little bit more distance through a little bit of topology change, but not much. But they will work a lot farther than a CB radio or than little walkie-talkies that Cobra or whoever else makes. I shouldn't say CB because CBs they have a little bit more power pumping out of them. But there's not any other questions. John, you got a question?
Yes, I did have one more actually. Actually two quick, if you can. If I was to get a ham radio license, is there a particular test you would want to take? Is there? I think there's specific licenses.
Well, it depends on what you're wanting. If you're not going to maintain repeaters and all of that, you're just going to get the entry level license. And forgive me because I don't remember what they're called off the top. They've changed the nomenclature. But when the de facto goes to the wayside, I will the losses become relevant. Just dealing with frequency. The FCC coordinator to make sure that the frequencies aren't stepping on each other. That's the main reason that they were instituted, is to share this frequency and then not cause interference to somebody that's using a specific frequency. So we had a conversation about the FCC yesterday. So it's but if you're going to get one, Tim, if you don't mind, do you know what the entry level license is? You're just going to be operating the handheld. You're not going to be maintaining equipment. So it's, I don't know what the cost and all that is, but you'd find it on the FCC's website.
Your license, you have technician in general, and then advanced and expert. So your entry level is technician.
I think I heard entry level technician.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then the other question, I'll probably just email you. It's pertaining to, I don't know if there's a way to connect these to another family member if they bought one without them going through our radio system. If there's a way you could buy one either from you guys or directly from KO Tom to connect. My sibling isn't an ASN yet, so, but she's looking into one. She wants something in case things go south, she loses power or whatever, she can communicate.
Hey, you're on mute, Robert.
Thank you. I was sitting here talking to myself. So we are, these radios, we're creating the APC PKTF for continuity of comms, but that's not the only capabilities radios, and we realized the need for families to have radios for that purpose. So we're not in a situation where if you're not an ASN, you can't buy it. They can buy them, but if you were to buy it from KO Tom direct and they don't program it, they program it for their system, it's not going to work with your radio except on the analog side. Because the platform is, the radios that we have are the network side, is we maintain that platform, and we have to put the orders in for that platform.
Very well, thank you. I'll be in touch then with that.
Okay. All right.
How can you be acknowledged to ask a question?
Oh, you raise your hand?
Well, I have, and I've also typed in questions on the chat.
I apologize.
Y'all gave a website, I believe, or a link to be able to get a user's manual. And I've tried it several times, and I am given an answer, not enough in the link to be able to get a PDF user manual. And so is there another, because I'm using, as you can see in the chat, APC-A, capital APC dash, capital A, capital O1 dash, capital U, lowercase SER, underscore 20250926.pdf. And that will not bring up anything other than them telling me not enough information.
So the document that I shared, it should just been a PDF link that you can download.
Well, if you could put that link in the chat where I can screenshot it, I would appreciate it, because I want to get to know how to use this phone. And I'm having difficulty following your instructions because I am a total newbie.
Okay.
If I may, this is Maziel and Orange. Inez actually works with me. Inez, with the manual, he put it right in the chat, so you just could download it from there, but I can also email it to you. And I'm gonna do it with our communications committee meeting. We're gonna create something so that we can sit down, at least to the basics, with everyone that has a radio. So we'll be setting that up so that you can get a better understanding. Mark is the chair for our telecommunications meeting. He's on this training call too. So we'll set something up so that we're all on the same board and working together. So if you can't pull it down from that chat menu, I'll email you the manual. Thank you.
Okay, and the other
Sorry for
thing
interrupting.
that I had asked about is on our last Zoom, I requested to be changed from APC 83 California to APC 83 Florida. And my phone is still listed under APC 83 California.
Have you powered it off since we had that call?
Yes, I have.
Okay, give me a moment.
I will power it off again right now.
Oh, hang on just a second. Okay. Thank you, Tim. I wasn't aware of that specific frequency. So the family radio service frequencies are set aside from 462. So that would allow us to preset. I think, Paul, to answer your question earlier, based on Tim's response, we could predefine some 462 to 467 megahertz channel frequencies in the handhelds. However, that's going to work just like talking system. It won't be able to bounce off of repeaters or licensed transmitters anywhere.
And also no license is required on those bands.
Yes. So for that family radio service, you said there's a license requirement for those?
83 California. All states TAC.
No licensing is required for the family radio service.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time. You're really broken up. Miss Inez, did that fix it?
Well, it looks like we lost Robert again. If you just give him a couple minutes for him to jump on. I think he's got oh, there he is. He's still here.
Yeah, I'm here. There you go. So speaking to the other gentleman, you have novice technician, general, advanced, and extra. So for ham licenses. I'm going to look into that FRS to see. Um, Ms. Inez, did that fix your radio? Mm-mm. Can you guys hear? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So Paul's saying they did away with novice. Yeah. Marcus saying the FRS radio, the radio frequencies on the FRS require licensing. Can you confirm that, Mark? All right. Anyone else have any questions? I guess we lost Miss Inez. Yeah, okay. General mobile radio. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I knew the general mobile radios did. All right. Well, to answer your call on that, then we could likely set some 400 megahertz stuff up default. But again, that's only going to work with whoever's in your radio's reception area. Good deal. Well, if there's not any other questions, I think that'll conclude the analog side. Ms. Mazel, if you could make sure that Ms. Inez power cycles her radio, her radio name should change now.
You're welcome, Paul. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, Rapid Radio used a similar platform as the APC unit. Mark. All right. Well, I'm good. If there's nobody else, we're going to go ahead and adjourn this meeting.
Thank you guys for having this training. It was great.
And again, if anybody has questions, you can always go back and refer to the videos. They're going to be on the PKTF YouTube channel. There should be a specific playlist for the APC radio training. Typically, Kathy's pretty quick about getting it up, posted online. So.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
Robert.
Thank
Bless
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good night.